All right.
All
Thank you
right.
so much for taking the time, Michael.
I'm excited. I'm excited to be here with you, man.
Today I have a real treat for you. I remember when I saw you the first time, you were sitting there working, and I felt like the energy what you have. And I was like, this guy is doing something meaningful. And I was just like observing you a little bit with the calls, with the energy what you have, and I really need to talk to you. I was like,
And you did, by the
this is
way.
an opportunity.
You did.
I have to grab that opportunity.
He did interact with me, and I'm very introvert at first, and I was like, why is this guy bothering me? But his energy was amazing, and you were very respectful, and you also had this vibrance of, you could tell that you're good at meeting people and making meaningful connections. And here we are now, and I feel like our connection has evolved from that one interaction.
Absolutely.
And that is the power of networking, actually. Right? That's how it works, just like that. So
And then we had a conversation, and I found out that you reached the epitome in fitness, and it's so interesting what you have accomplished. And I was just reading your page a little bit, and you were like the #1 trainer in LA, in Miami, and I just want to delve into your mind today. So, what do you do to stand out, or where do you come from? So, did you always had the entrepreneurial bone in you, or how did everything started?
by the way, I hope you don't mind if I'm smoking a cigar.
Good.
All right, thank you, I appreciate it. Even though I did it before I even asked. But we talked about it
It's fine.
before. We talked about it before
It's
the call.
okay. Okay.
So yes, I was featured as one of the top personal trainers in Miami. I was a celebrity trainer there, and then become one of the top trainers in Los Angeles, where I was actually rated #1 trainer in Los Angeles for about 2 to 3 years. I think it was a total of 3 years, but I think on the third year, the co-founder of Per Fitness, my ex-fiance at the time, who I have a great relationship with, she was actually #1 for quite some time. And it also, I mean, for me, I was interviewing a trainer today that we might potentially bring on board, and he comes from actually from Florida as well, and he comes from like a football background. So I think for me, like personal training or the whole industry just came from a sports background, right? Playing sports, as a young kid. I grew up in a not so great neighborhood, right? You consider it like if you're in Los Angeles, it would be like the Compton of Los Angeles. And in Florida, it was Carroll City, Miramar, like that Dade County area, which is considered like lower income. So it was basically, Alex, it was basically sports or drugs, right? We didn't know back then. There was no social media, there was no masterminds, there was no entrepreneurial things you could be on board of, right? We didn't have social media to teach us, so we were just kind of like stuck by whatever our surroundings taught us. So I took the path of sports, and then that evolved into the path of personal training.
Okay, interesting. So,
Yeah.
and I saw that you left your home when you were 14. I mean, this is not what the average teenager are doing. So, what happened there?
That's I love my mom, and my grandma. I have a really good relationship with them now. But I think, now that I'm older in my life, just turned 30, by the way, December 27th, Capricorn, for all you horoscope people out there. you know, it's trauma that is passed on from generation to generation. So if my mom's watching this, hopefully she doesn't mind me sharing this story. My grandfather, God rest his soul, who passed away, right? My father's a black man, right? In Cuba, they call them Afro-Cuban. And when my mom started to, have a relationship with my father, she was only 15. He was older than her. It's like that in those countries, right? You know how it is. Women date younger, it's different time, different generation. My grandfather, Alex, told my mom, if you're gonna date that black man, you can no longer live here. So the trauma is my mom from a young childhood was also kicked out of her house at a young age. So if you don't heal these traumas, which is first generation, right? She repeated that same trauma raising me. So every time that I was growing up and something was, as a child and I was misbehaving or something was happening, what do you think the punishment was? If you don't like my rules, there's the door.
Just leave.
Just leave. It's the same trauma basically that she went through. She was remanifesting in her parenting style. And again, growing up in a not so great neighborhood, where you're kind of like forced to figure out life faster, right? Because of the environment that you're in. And then my family being first generation and having that trauma of like, if you don't like my rules, my father also had a similar background where he left his house at a really young age in Cuba. It was like normal for our family. It's uncommon, you're right, for most US families, even other countries, it's uncommon, or Europeans. But for our family, that trauma was normal. So even though it's uncommon for them, they didn't see it that way. And sadly, because again, they didn't have the therapy and stuff like that you would take as a parent to learn. They just pushed that on me, and then boom, that's why I left at a young age.
And you decided to break the pattern.
No, I don't think I've broken the pattern. I forgot what it's called. I think it's called like suppression or something. I see myself with the same trauma in my leadership style with my employees. I've seen it in partnerships. I've seen the same trauma me do it to people. Like, if you don't like this, there's the door. So I'm hoping that, as I continue to meet people like you and I continue to grow as a person, life's all about growing and learning, right? And admitting your faults and you can get better. I'm hoping that that I can overcome that trauma by the time I have kids, so I don't make those mistakes. Yeah.
So what I'll be really curious is like, how did you build that company? So, because have you always been self-employed? Were you always a business owner, or did you start like as a regular trainer in the gym?
No, always. So yeah, self-employed from day one.
Really?
Crazy, huh? That's
you were never employed.
Never worked for a gym.
No, really.
Never a trainer for a gym, ever. Never, not one gym, ever.
But where did you get that knowledge from? I mean, there are so many people who want to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And they have absolutely no idea where to get started. So, and you were like basically like 16, 17, 18, and you're like, I don't need a job, I just start a business. So how was it?
yeah.
At those times?
So I've shared this story many times already. I'll share it again on this podcast. My first real job was at a GNC, a supplement store, sports supplement store, general nutrition center, right? They're kind of going extinct now because of Amazon and drop shipping and all these things. But back then, they were where you went to get supplements, right? They're known all over the world. Even in Europe, you probably know GNC. So that's how I got into the personal training fitness side of things. I walked into a mall. The mall was called Pembroke Pines Mall. And I was 16 years old. You have to be 18 to work at GNC. Oh, shit. Hopefully she's no longer running that GNC so she doesn't get in trouble in case this goes viral. But she hired me, right? I think her name was Angie. I'll never forget. An amazing woman. Dominican woman. Owner of the franchise GNC, right? It's a franchise GNC. So not a corporate. And she hired me knowing that I wasn't 18 because she felt like the passion and the energy, but she also felt like this motherly type of like, I want to help. You know what I mean? Because she went above and beyond for me as a business owner. And she hired me at 16, and working at GNC is commission-based. So you make commissions based on what supplements you sell, right? And there's a big encyclopedia there, because was there even Google at that time? I don't know. I wasn't using Google when I was 16. I don't think there was. I don't know. But there's my dog just farted. Sorry about that, Valentino. There was an encyclopedia there with like all the supplements, like a huge encyclopedia, right? Like with all with supplements, vitamins, minerals, weight loss, like everything regarding like health and fitness was in this huge encyclopedia. And you're working there for like 8 hours. You're standing inside a store, and you have to wait for customers to come in, right? But sometimes it's inside a mall. You could go a whole shift where one person comes in. So what do you do the entire time you're there? You can't be on your phone, because back then there wasn't really any reason to be on your phone, right? So I was just studying that encyclopedia to make more sales and commission. I started doing really good at selling and commission. Like, I think you have this sales comes to people semi-naturally, right? It's like a sense of knowing how to read people and being involved in that way. So the follow-up to selling all these supplements and people, hey Justin, and people, being like, oh my God, so impressed with how well you sell supplements at a supplement store. The follow-up was basically, are you a trainer? That's how it all started. So you can imagine, Alex, someone's asking me, are you a trainer? I don't even know what are you a trainer means, right? but it kept happening. I'm selling these supplements. People kept asking, "Oh my God, you're so knowledgeable. Like, are you a trainer?" Because they knew what it meant, right? The market knows what a trainer is. I'm a kid from the hood who just got a job at a GNC. I have no idea what a trainer is. But everyone kept saying, "Are you a trainer? Are you a trainer?" And I started saying, "Yeah, I'm a trainer." They're like, "How much do you charge?" I was like, $240 for the month. The reason I said $240 for the month was because that's what I needed. I was at the time I was living in a little they call it an efficiency, which is basically like a little room behind a gas station. I was living with a girlfriend at the time, and I needed $240 to make rent, pay the bill.
Okay.
And I got my first client $240 for the month, unlimited sessions.
Unlimited sessions.
Unlimited
That's
sessions.
a good deal.
It's a great deal. You know, I've charged upwards of $1,000 now for 1 hour, right? So I was like, back then, yeah.
And this is how everything started.
That's how it all started. That's my origin story down to the T.
And
yeah.
And then you decided to create your company. Because
for fitness?
Because of what? Because of what happened when you decided like I need to do like an official company.
Well, if we go down the timeline, I feel like it'll take up a lot of our time today. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot that happened.
Wrap it up.
There's a lot that happened from that origin story to perfectness. Mm-hmm. A lot of trial and error. Mm-hmm. From making really good money, building my own independent personal training business, making upwards of $5,000 a month, which at the time was really good money. For some people, it might still be really good money.
Just with training, like $5,000 a month.
Yeah, just training, right? Just one-on-one training. Lost it all, became homeless, had to rebuild it all again. Failed partnerships trying to do it with multiple people.
So why did you become homeless? Was it because you couldn't maintain new clients, or?
No. So this was, again, we're time traveling back. I'm 30 years old now, so we're time traveling back to over a decade ago, right? So over a decade ago, and I'm a young guy. You look at the origin story, come from nothing, from the hood, fall into this passion of mine, which was personal training, clearly talented at it, which I was able to build up at the time was a small independent business. And now I have money. What happens when you come from nothing and you start making, when $240 is what you're like stressed about to make rent, and now you're making $5,000 a month. The shift in lifestyle from $240 to $5,000 a month in those couple of years that happened to me changed a lot of who I was, right? And I didn't know, so I was spending money and I was like living lavishly and all these different things. And this has happened now even throughout my life. This was a journey you go on. And I just, wasn't putting the money aside for the business that needed to be put aside. I wasn't being mature enough. I wasn't handling things properly. And I put myself in a hole I couldn't get out of. That's how I ended up homeless. I was homeless at 20 years old. So we're looking at from 16 to 20. It was about 4 years to build that independent business.
I mean, that's insane when you have like 4 years, like business experience in such a young age.
Yes.
It's like amazing.
That's why, you have, like Alex, you've had the opportunity to meet me in this environment. This is basically the retirement, right? I've had the mansions, I've had the 6-figure cars, I've flew the private planes, I've done all that, and you've met me in this retirement phase of my life. And it's like only 30. People are like, huh? And it's not like completely retired. I'm like, I call it semi-retired. Mm-hmm. But it's because I started at a young age. Most people start at 25. I started at 16. Well, I started at 14, but really started at 16, being a business owner, even though at that time you're more of a self-employed independent contractor, but it's still learning how to close deals, how to negotiate terms, how to fulfill on a service, right? And then you're trying to experiment with people, to partner with them, to scale your business. I learned all that at a young age.
So how many employees do you have right now? So what did you accomplish the last, let's say, 5 years?
Again, we've had a lot of ups and downs, right? Right now, we have about 15 employees. Mm-hmm. That's how many employees we have right now. But that was at 20 when I became homeless. Mm-hmm. Then from 20 to now, so we'll say from 21 to now, everything has been a stepping stone to Perfitness. So Perfitness, which is the company that has created this life, which is where we source the majority of our reputation. We're really known as one of the best companies in Los Angeles. We work with people nationwide. Like the reputation of everything that I've created, Perfitness, that really launched in 2015. So, I mean, 20 years old, I think it was 2013. When I was 20, I think it was 2013, right? So 2015 was when I actually launched Perfect. Before then, it was still me just rebuilding the personal training business.
So how did you scale that business, like Perfectness? Or what did you do? What were the processes?
For scaling that company,
Yeah.
well, I had my ex-fiance at the time, who was the co-founder of the company. Me and her did it together. And we first started with, filling our slots. Like we first were like, okay, how do we just get us two people fully busy with clients, right? And then how do we leverage that we're so busy, so in demand? So the first step is to become a master of your craft. I don't care how good you are at sales, how pretty you are, right? If you do not generate a result, people will not pay you top dollar. See, I think a lot of people get that confused, Alex. Oh, I'm a good talker. You can be a good talker, and you might get the money once. But to build anything that's lasting, you need to get the money over and over and over again, right? Which means you have to be good at delivering a top quality service. So me and her, we first focused on us being fully busy. And then once we were busy, we're okay, how do we leverage by charging, top dollar? Because now we have a lot of people waiting. And then we started hiring from there, right? We started to hire to fulfill. That's how we scaled it.
So you basically charge more money for so you were basically looking for wealthier people. Did you also change the target group?
I mean, look, it gets really complex, right? I'm trying to keep it simple here. We're talking about in a podcast, we're trying to simplify it. There's a lot of market data you have to do at that time, a lot of learning curves, a lot of things you do right, a lot of things you do wrong. But for me, it was always about, putting myself in the right environment. So I would always invest money in learning, business mastery, masterminds from Tony Robbins, invest money in making sure I live in the best communities, the best locations, make sure that I buy my groceries at the best grocery stores. Why? Because I want to be surrounded by the individuals that I want to work with, right? I always told myself, which, I haven't gotten the Rolls Royce yet, but I've always told myself, if I train a client that has a Rolls Royce, and if I train enough of them, I'll have a Rolls Royce. That was always the...
Yeah, it's proximity is power, right? So who do you spend time with?
I did a consulting course on proximity is power, right? Wolfpack proximity. But that's basically what it is. Proximity, who you surround yourself with, was the foundation of what we started to do to really scale the business.
Let's swap into a quick role play. For example, I know for sure there are some personal trainers out there who are working in gyms, for example, and who wants to be like an entrepreneur, who want to escape the rat race, because this is not a luxury anymore to create an additional income stream. It's just a necessity, because inflation is going to the top, and you don't get more money paid in your regular 9-to-5 job just because of inflation. So act as somebody who's working in a gym as a trainer and who has 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 followers on Instagram. How could the regular person create an income just from personal trainings online? Or how could they just charge for a single session they can charge 60, 90, 120 euros, it depends where you live, right? But how would you start? Because I think this is super interesting for somebody who wants to step into the entrepreneurship.
Yeah, look, there's going to be a lot of gurus out there. There's going to be a lot of people out there who say, they're going to say what these trainers that maybe follow you might want to hear. I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not going to say what you want to hear. Number one is personal trainers have an 89% turnover, which means that it's a market that is not the best vehicle to make wealth. Just start there, right? But if you still are that passionate about it, you're like, okay, no, I want to build a career in personal training, right? Then step number one is not how many followers you have. It's how good you are at your craft. And nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to do the work to become a master at what they do. Right? They want to hear give me the 3 tips to scale my. Because you could get the right clientele, you could do all that, you could get your social media and kind of build that market. But to really sustain a personal training business, you have to be good at what you do. You have to be master too. Number one, if you're a trainer out there at a gym, while you're working at that gym, if in that gym you are not the best trainer, do not ever think about leaving. Period. Leave when every client in that gym wants to work with you. You have to be the best trainer there first, while you're getting your stable paycheck, before you ever go and do it on your own. That's step one.
How do I become the best trainer in the gym?
But so I think podcasts are great. Like, I listen to a ton of podcasts. I think books are great. The 4-Hour Body.
You mean just getting like more knowledge first?
Getting more like just like not only the knowledge of like understanding the human body, right? Implementing the knowledge. So it's like getting the knowledge and then working with people. So first I need to, let's say I have 2 clients. Are these clients truly getting results with me? Or do I have them on a spinning wheel? Or do I some days show up motivated, some days I don't show up motivated, some days I'm like, or am I really dedicating, like what are these clients' real goals? Am I really overcoming all their obstacles? Am I really truly getting them results? Results that they'll rave, like, because if you think about it, if you really help somebody, a woman comes to you, she's been struggling her whole life, she's worked with 15 different trainers, she's done 15 gym memberships, she's been struggling with her appearance and her confidence and her body for the last decade, and you solve it for her in 6 months, you don't think she'll go tell all her friends about it?
Look, she's like, I met that one guy who was like, who's transforming my life.
Period.
Yeah.
And that's what I was able to create. And once you do that, then you quickly realize, oh, I can go ahead and leave this gym because everybody wants to work with me. But the problem is, a trainer might be at a gym and then they see what the founder has created or the gym has created, Equinox or LA Fitness, or even trainers that might work for Per Fitness. And they think, oh, this is easy, I could do it too. And then they fail because everything is a journey. Just because this guy is young and he's done it, or just because Equinox has done it, or LA Fitness or any gym that you're at has done it, that owner didn't do it in 1 year. So if you've been working for that gym for 1 year, you're like, oh, I can do it on my own now. It takes time. So you have to first become a master. Step 1 is become a master. Then step 2 is do market research. If you're a master, identify your strengths and weaknesses. Because you might be a great trainer. You might be the best trainer in the world, but you don't have any balance when it comes to making sales. Right? Because you have to be a great trainer first to fulfill on the product, be a great salesman to sell the service, and then you got to be really good at branding.
How do I become better at sales? Just for the average people.
Some people just are not going to ever become great at it, right?
Why do you think?
Sales has to do a lot with like body language, natural personality, charisma. You can read a script and close deals, but to be an actual like a great salesperson, you have to be really good at reading human beings. And you can learn negotiation skills. You can learn to like study eye patterns. You can learn to read body language. Like, am I losing this person's
like
interest?
Mirroring,
right? Am I losing? You can learn all these tactics, but it can just be hard for you. And it's important for you to identify. You don't have to be great at everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't. If you're a great trainer and you do want to build a business, then you hire a great salesperson.
Do you mean you master the craft like fitness, that you're really good at this? And if you're not good at sales, you just find somebody who's bringing you clients.
Correct. Who's selling the business for you. And then if you're great at fulfilling on it, your fulfillment, the referrals from the fact that you're good will get you business. You'll never run out of business. There's different challenges now as a business owner. But when I was in control of the client's fulfillment, when I was working with the client one-on-one, not having clients was never an issue. Because I was great at working with clients one-on-one. So we never had to worry about me. I never had to worry about, oh my God, I don't have any clients. Business is bad. It was more of like, oh, I would just want more and I want to grow more and I want to scale more. So because I was great at the actual training the clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting what you mentioned before. It's like people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care.
That's powerful.
That's mental candy.
Mental candy, like that. Yeah.
So what would you do, for example, because it's right now we have like 2023, it's like everything is digital, social media. What are the best ways to get to customers on social media?
It's not one of my strengths.
Mm-hmm.
I think the best way, that I feel has really worked for me personally because I started late. But for anyone out there, it's just to document as much as possible and upload. Document and upload as much as possible, right? So just, anything that you're doing, you're reading a book to learn how to be a great trainer, document it, record it, capture it, upload it, right? Just document that you are working on your craft. You wake up at 3 a.m. to go train a client on the beach and you got 15 other clients after that. Document your journey, your day in the life, right? And upload it. So documenting and uploading are the best ways to not be forgotten on social media in this economy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a massive action. Like, helps always.
Yeah. Massive action, but see, I was a victim I did massive action, but I wasn't documenting and uploading.
That was a mistake, man.
Huge mistake. Life's all about making mistakes and learning from them, right? So that was a huge mistake. I mean, I've been blessed and I've worked hard, and through massive action consistently enough, I still was able to create an amazing life for myself, and I still do that. But document and upload, right? In the past, I would have been victim of just having this conversation with you one-on-one. In fact, me and you have had a lot of one-on-one conversations so far that if it wasn't for you documenting and uploading, they would have just been hitting gems, right? So it's just about documenting and uploading as much as possible. That's the biggest piece of advice.
So, I mean, fitness is like, it's a lifestyle, right? And how does smoking fit into this? Smoking a cigar.
Well, smoking a cigar, first thing is, all great men smoke cigars. All great men smoke cigars. It's sophisticated. It's an art to do it properly. You look at people like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? He always had a cigar. And he was known for having a big cigar in his magazine covers. Guys that I look up to.
Brad Lee, for example, always smoking cigars.
Brad Lee. This guy, Manny Cushman. He's a huge real estate guy.
Yeah.
Always smoking cigars. All great men smoke cigars. For me, it allows me to be sophisticated in the men who are years ahead of me, who I admire. It kind of like grounds me into it's like my affirmation that all great men smoke cigars, right? And I want to be a great man. The second thing is that tobacco was actually an herb that was used for medicinal purposes. So there's a statistic out there that actually smoking cigars reduces the chance of heart stroke for like entrepreneurial men who have a lot of stress. And then the most important reason is, what these cigars mean to me. So in 2021, I was able to, my grandma raised me in Cuba. I was born in Cuba. My grandma raised me in Cuba until I was 5 years old. My mom, she had to leave Cuba at 18 years old. She got on a raft into the ocean. Have you seen the ocean at night? Scary as shit. She was on her period. And she got on a raft at 18 years old with 3 men she didn't know to make it to the US. She's an immigrant, right? That's intense. And that's why I can't be scared of any failures or successes, because anybody who has the life force to take that risk, how could I be scared of life, right? Because Cuba is a dictatorship. It's a country that people want to leave. And my grandma raised me. So, my grandma, I was able to retire her in 2021. And now that she's, she was able to, she was a janitor for many years. And my goal was always to retire my grandma first, retire my mom second. So they no longer have to work. And in 2021, I was able to finally retire my grandma.
Do you retire your mom also?
Not yet. Working on it. Coming soon, Mom. Coming soon. And now that my grandma's retired, she goes to Cuba and she gets me these Cuban cigars from Cuba. So my first cigar ever, she got to me. So I also smoke these cigars because my grandma, she gets them to me as gifts. So it's like a way for me to feel like I'm connecting with her. I know that she goes out of her way to get me the cigars. When family gives you a gift, you're like, I'm gonna eat these cookies because grandma gave them to me, right? I'm gonna have the cigar because my grandma went to Cuba and she went out of her way to go to the factory and get me the cigar. So all great men smoke cigars. There are some medicinal reasons behind it, but more importantly, it connects me to my grandma, and I really like that. Yeah, so that's why I am the fitness guy that smokes cigars. Well, I guess Arnold was the first one. Well, Arnold was the first guy that I really know in fitness who spoke.
He's a little bit older than you.
He's a lot older than me. Come on. Yeah.
Awesome. You know what I want to know is like, we have not like the artificial intelligence. Let's jump into the future. I mean, it's already here. This thing, like all the AI tools, they taking the world by storm. And what I want to know is which processes are easier for you now because of implementing artificial intelligence. How do you use it to be more productive? And what do you use?
Yeah, so the ones that we're using the most right now for AI, right, is ChatGPT.
So for people who like have no idea what it is, it's like, how can you explain it?
I would say that ChatGPT is a simpler, more direct way of using Google. Right, so you go on Google, you type in a request, right? Whether it's, what should I tell a girl if I'm dating her? And then you type that in on Google, and Google will give you 100 landing pages, right? On like what to tell a girl that you're dating or how to pick up a girl, something like that. Where you can go on ChatGPT and you can say, it's a similar, direct messaging kind of conversation. And you can say, hey, Chat, please play the role of a dating coach. Mm-hmm. And a dating coach that works specifically with African-American young males who are between the ages of 25 and 32 who make $500,000 a year.
Is that you?
Huh?
Is your description?
No, I'm mixed. I'm half African-American. I'm half Afro-Cuban. I'm mixed. And I make more than that, but not in this economy. No, never mind. Scratch that. Cut. I make less than that. But basically, you can get very detailed in the request that I'm asking this AI to do for me. And then the AI will come back to you with you don't have to land on 100 landing pages. They'll give you the instructions on what to do. You can ask the AI, can you make this simpler? Can you make this in one sentence? Can you make this third grade level? Can you make this so I can understand? Can you write a book on doing this? Let's say you want to sell a book on dating. So you get to build a relationship with basically artificial intelligence that is working to meet your needs and wants. And that's, why wouldn't you do that?
It's like basically a super smart virtual assistant for basically like everything.
Correct.
It's like, for example, I was just searching the last times, like, what is the best strategies to market my educational platform? And just they're like kind of like 10 answers in just seconds. And you told me about something else. It's like you have like a tool what takes notes all the time.
I love that one.
Like, can you go into detail? What's that about?
So if you guys can't notice, I talk a lot. So I was having all these team meetings.
That's the reason why I'm perfect guest for a podcast.
Yeah, perfect podcast guest. I was having all these team meetings, and meetings like 30 minutes long, an hour long, and I'm talking about like all these tasks that need to get done, right? And I was noticing that the employees weren't executing properly. Things always just kept missing, and I was like, I would say do all this, and then I would sit and wait, and I was like, it still hasn't been done. What's going on here? And then it became let's take notes. Let's take notes while we have the meeting. And then I heard about from Layla Hermosi, Alex Hermosi's wife, on the 5 AI tools that her team found that they should use. Mm-hmm. And I think number 2 was Fireflies. So we integrated Fireflies, and Fireflies joins all of your virtual meetings, right? You integrate it, and it takes notes for you. And it'll condense the conversation and find out what topics were positive, negative. It'll transcribe the meeting. It'll give you the AI will give you a summary. And they even have their own like ChatGPT integrated into Fireflies, which is like a virtual assistant that would create an action plan on Zapier or Asana or whatever integrations you have based on the meeting.
So how does it work? Do you have to record the Zoom call and send the whole video to Fireflies?
No, Fireflies joins the meeting like a participant.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't have to, and it records it for you. And audio records it and video records it. Yeah. Yeah, no, AI is taking the world by. It's funny though. I see the world so different now. I was watching this TV show, Friends. Friends. Everybody knows Friends, right? And they're all employees. None of them are business owners, right? And And they'll be like, oh, I'm going to call in sick. I'm not going to go to work or all this. And so I'm constantly seeing the world through two different lenses. One of like, I'm a business owner, and one of like, how do my employees see the world? So I do notice like there is a bit of pushback from the employees on like integrating AI or integrating systems or integrating things that need to be integrated that will remove potentially the need for human error. It's almost like a human being's need to not want to be removed. Right? So that's, if you're a business owner out there and you want to incorporate AI into your business, I would, number one, strongly recommend you do so. But number two, it's normal you're going to get some pushback from your team. I will still implement it either way though.
I mean, you have a lot of experience in business. Which jobs do you think will replace AI in the future?
I think copywriting, I think customer service. I think a lot of jobs. I mean, those are the ones that I could see being replaced right off the back for my business, which would be copywriting and customer service. Use like the clients, asking questions that the AI will have the answers to, right? As if you train the AI properly. But I'm sure a lot of jobs, think about it. I mean, you don't even really need consultants will be replaced. Think about any consultant, dating coach. Think about, if I could just ask an AI to play the role of a dating coach, and it can just give me the instructions that I need. In the future, it won't even be inboxing. It'll be avatars. You know what I mean? So I can see AI being in the future where it's like ChatGPT 80, and it's an avatar now engaging with me in video format. And I say, hey, avatar, become a woman with blonde hair and play the role of a dating coach. And now I'm having a full-blown consultation with a dating coach AI giving me instructions on dating, right? I'm talking about dating, by the way, because Alex is such a handsome guy. Like dating is something he doesn't need help with, but I need help with. But that's where I see it going. I see it replacing a lot of things. And I'm excited for that because that's what we're supposed to do as human beings. We're supposed to adapt and scale our consciousness. People who are scared of AI, I think they're looking at it the wrong way. I'm excited. If AI replaces all of us and the world becomes more tech savvy and it forces people to adapt, I think social media opened up the world, right? I think digital nomads and Zoom and virtual work, remote work has opened up the world. I think technology is going to force us to get out of our comfort zones, but it's going to open up the world more. So, yeah.
Definitely. I think where most people struggle is, for example, they have an idea, or they have an idea, but they have no plan how they can execute it. Because this is where most people struggle. So do you have 3 tips how you can overcome it and how to create an idea into reality?
How to turn an idea into reality. How to turn an idea into reality in 3 steps.
Yeah.
So first you have your idea. Okay. Step 1 is tell nobody. That's step 1. Ideas are energy. So the minute I have an idea and I start telling people about it,
people put energy.
But you're also releasing dopamine. Now I feel satisfied and I already accomplished something.
Yeah. Because just of the idea.
Just because I have an idea.
But it brings nothing.
Brings nothing. The idea. So if you have an idea, step 1 is tell nobody. Step 2 is start taking action towards your idea. It could be first research. It could be purchasing a domain. It could be doing a work. I don't know, whatever the idea is, but just start taking steps toward. Tell nobody step 1, step 2, start taking steps towards your idea. And then I'm guessing this idea for most people is to earn income, right? So then I would say step 3 would be, when you earn your first dollar with your idea, then tell people. So step 3 would be earn your first dollar with your idea.
Yeah, this is, I think that's the only thing that counts, right? Just bringing the dollar in. It's just money is business is just money in. So, and I think this is where most people have huge problems to really turn it into profits, the idea. But I for example, when I created my university, I was just sitting there for 3 hours and I had a music. It was a brainstorm music on YouTube for 3 hours. I had 6 sheets of paper in front of me. And I was I had my phone on not disturb. and I was mapping the whole university out. It's like completely every single detail. What are we doing? What do I need? Which people do I need? How do I promote it? Like I was just like, I put all my mind on paper. And then I had like 6 papers in front of me. I was like, okay, let's see how I can execute this. And for me, it's so, I think that's the reason why I get more done than like some other people, because I have an idea and in the second I make it happen. And this is, so many people, they think too long, because the best time to act is when the idea is strong and the emotion is like real, right?
Yeah, that's why step 1 is tell nobody.
Yeah.
If I have a strong idea, if I have an idea and my emotion's strong and I'm excited about it, I release, it's almost like an ejaculation. Don't ejaculate your idea. Don't bust a nut. Don't have an orgasm. Don't squirt, right? It's almost like an ejaculation. The minute I tell you about my idea, I've ejaculated all the energy behind it. But if I have an idea and the first thing that I dedicate my energy to is telling nobody, and then taking the steps needed towards the idea, most ideas that you have will actually get to $1 in profit. And then you can find out if you really liked it or not, if you want to go ahead and pursue it, if you want to double down on it. But most people have an idea and they just want to rush and say, hey, I have this idea. What do you think? What? And then they use all their life force into sharing the idea, and then nothing happens. So many ideas get nowhere.
And then 3 weeks later, they ask him, hey, what was that idea? He's like, oh, I couldn't make it.
Yeah. Because that you put your energy into the idea, you gave your thoughts as human nature, right? And they wasted a lot of energy of themselves into, like you said, like when you have an idea, a strong emotion behind it, the minute you express the idea, the emotion is diluted. Yeah.
So let's wrap up the podcast. So what are the biggest failures what you had, and what were the biggest lessons in your career?
Biggest failures?
Yeah. And what did you learn from that?
God, I have so many failures. I've had so many failures. Oh my God.
Give us the 3 biggest ones.
3 biggest failures I've had.
Yeah.
So weird. It's so weird how it's, you know how they say that successful people fail 100 times?
Yeah.
It's so weird how like I'm successful, but I feel like a failure. I feel like a failure, but I'm successful. That's the weird
part.
That's
why they say it's like they fail forward, right?
Yeah. So I mean, I've had so many failures. Man, I don't even know how to quantify it into the 3 biggest failures. They all feel big. You know, all failures feel big. When I turned 30, I have a good friend of mine. He's a very wealthy individual. You know, 8 figures and up, right? Which to us, that's very wealthy. 8 figures and up, that's 10 million and over, right? Maybe even more than that. Who knows? And when I turned 30, he said something to me. I just turned 30. We had a conversation. He said, successful man, or successful people, but he said to me, successful man, your highs don't feel high anymore, but your lows feel real low. Make sense?
Yeah.
Your highs don't feel high anymore, but your lows feel real low. So for me, my failures feel big because I've become accustomed to making $67,000 in one day. Right? I become accustomed to, closing deals that at one time were a goal, a dream, right? Like you become accustomed to the wins. They feel normal.
Yeah.
They feel like they should be happening. But every time you lose, it feels like it shouldn't be happening.
Yeah.
And then the loss feels heavier, feels stronger. So my failures for me feel heavy, right? So I can't even quantify the 3 failures because all of them just feel so heavy for me, even though I'm failing forward, because the wins just feel like they should be happening. They don't feel like I would have to win so much bigger now. I would have to get a huge win.
Yeah.
And then eventually, if you keep winning at that level, you become accustomed to it. And then those wins don't really feel, if you win 6 NBA championships, number 7 doesn't matter. But if you lose number 7, it means more.
Yeah.
You've already won, but it's like, if you lose the 7th championship, it really hurts. If you win it, then you're like, okay, number 8. Right? Number 9. And that's just a trait that very successful people have. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with understanding. Yeah.
So you mentioned before, like 60 grand a day. This is what some people earn in 2 years. And that's just a day. So do you want to go a little bit in detail? Also, what did you sell? Which deals did you close? Or how did you come to that amount?
Well, I think one, how much money you make in a day is completely dependent on the market, right? Like what you're selling or what you're doing. It could be in real estate. It could be in there's people who make 5 million in a day. I actually put up a post of one of my clients who was like, hey, I just made 5 million today. Sorry for the hectic day, right? So 60 grand is nothing compared to. So, but it depends on the market. Like his industry is so different from my industry. So if you want to make, large amount of money in a day, then you want to change your market. If you're a Rolls Royce salesman and you make a, 30% commission on selling a Rolls Royce and it's at 400,000, and you sell 2 Rolls Royces in a day, you just made a lot of money, right? So how much money you make in a day is completely dependent on what market you're in and what you're selling. So if you want to make a lot, look at your market and then identify what you're selling or what you're doing in that market.
All right.
Yeah.
Michael, thank you so much for taking the time. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It got dark.
Go dark.
I don't even know how long we've been talking for, but it got dark. Hopefully the lighting's still great. I think so. We have that light, yeah.
I mean, that's flashing like crazy. I think that's the good video material.
I think it's a good video material. Yeah, it was a pleasure, man.
Thank you so much.
I'm excited to see this. And, we didn't even talk about my other company, the Smart Fridges. But I'm sure me and you will have another podcast.
We're going to meet another day somewhere in the beautiful world, and then we're going to talk about the other things.
Yeah. Are you traveling? Are you traveling anywhere? Are you going to stay?
I don't know. I just stay until the end of June, definitely.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of June, then I go 2 weeks to Austria, and then maybe somewhere else. I have nothing.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's somewhere else. I'll be traveling for the next 3 months. I'll be back in LA.
Yeah.
But after that, I'll be traveling again. So maybe we'll link up. If you land in another country, I don't know if I'll come back to Mexico, but if you land in another country, then
if I land in LA, I'll just hit you up. That's the first call when I'm at the airport.
For sure, definitely. You could go ahead and spend some time with me there, see the office and everything. But
all right.
So
thank you, man. And if you want to know more about all the successful people, what they are doing, and what are their strategies, make sure to check out fefuniversity.com. We have amazing courses. We have amazing teachers, and you have the environment of people, of highly successful people, and you can network with them. So check it out. We have amazing tools there, and you can definitely build a network what's impossible to have in real life, and you have it in your pocket on the phone. You can talk to high successful individuals, and make sure to check it out. Thank you so much for tuning in, and see you at the next podcast.